In sports, oh my God, I am the worst when it comes to sports. Don't go to the gym. What happens? You get fat.
What can I say? Okay. Hi, Raffi. I know you're big into competition, and I just had a couple questions that I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
I have 5 questions for you that all regard competition. I just kind of wanted to get your insights on them.
Okay, so you're asking me questions on competition.
Correct.
All right, go for it.
All right, so my first question for you is, why do you welcome competition as the founder of Thompson Ferrier?
Why do I welcome competition? Number one, obviously everyone knows competition is a very healthy thing to have. But I want to differentiate between competition and copy. And where are you competing is very important. The mindset of competition. When you copy something, you're chasing someone. Competition, by definition, means you have somebody else that is doing something that you are watching. And I always say this: competition is never against somebody else; it's always against you. So I love competition because it forces me to hone my skills, and you're always looking at competition against yourself and saying, what did I do in the past? How do I do it better? And marking your progress so that the self-competition becomes the self-growth. So for me, competition is a very strong way for us to look at what are we accomplishing, how far we got, how are we getting better, and how are we interacting with our customers, and they're feeling that our performance is getting better. Competition makes us perform much better.
Okay, great. Thanks for sharing. My second question for you is, how is competition similar to what you've seen in sports or performance?
In sports, oh my God, I am the worst when it comes to sports. I don't follow any sports, I don't know any sports, but I do the following. I'm always watching two masters play against each other. For example, if you look at Messi in soccer and Ronaldo, and these guys are the two best in the business. But I've always noticed that, again, it comes back to what is the competition about. Ronaldo doesn't try to compete against Messi. Ronaldo is competing against himself because he's realizing there are parts of him that he doesn't know how to do well. So he goes in and hones his skills on those areas that he's deficient in, and then he perfects that, which means he elevated himself here. Then the next guy does that, and then the next guy does. These two heroes. And then also, I mean, if you look at in the movie industry, I mean, what's his name? Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger. These guys made movies, and each one honed their skills to do a better movie, better blockbuster. It's always a better blockbuster. But they although competed against each other, they were always competing against themselves first.
Right. It sounds like they don't weaken each other, but instead they ignite each other.
Oh, absolutely. It's the fire that they look at and they say, yes, I'm gonna cremate that guy, but ultimately you're looking inwards.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great insight. All right, so for my next question, it is, how does the customer benefit when brands go head to head?
I think we all know that customers are the ultimate beneficiary of anything that gets better. But what exactly are you chasing at the end of the day with business? You're chasing loyalty. So when you focus on your own performance, what you're doing is you're proving to the customer, if let's for instance, in our case, they buy a candle, they smell it, they love it. They buy the next candle, they smell it, they love it. And this repeats itself. Customers, by default, including myself, avoid the negative. I want to avoid being disappointed. I don't want to be disappointed. So loyalty, by definition, means you're avoiding the negative. So what we're doing by continuing this is we are gaining the customer's confidence in us, which means that the customer now has a better product, has a better performance, has a better customer service, they're getting better value for their money at the end of the day.
Okay, so for my next question, have you ever been pushed creatively by something a competitor did?
Have I ever been pushed creatively by something a competitor did? this is a really good question, because what I have done is not being pushed by what a competitor did. It's what competitors don't do is what I get pushed by. I look at other brands and I say, why must a candle, for example, look like a glass jar with white wax in it and look like a glass of milk? And I go and I push that question into an answer. Or I'll go into, for example, we have a discovery set. And these are all the things that I look at. I look at the competition. Every single person does a discovery set. They put 8 pieces in there, and then they put the name of the fragrances. I say that, you're predisposed. If you're predisposed, that means when you see this and it has the name on it, you're going to expect the fragrance. I go in and I say, I'm not going to put the name of the fragrance on here. I want you to go smell it. Competition doesn't do that. They live in what I call mediocrity. When it goes into fragrance, for example, the entire competitive world has fragrance that is vanilla, cinnamon spice, clove, Christmas, and so forth. I treat the fragrance as perfumery. So it's not what the competition did that drove me, it's what the competition doesn't do that drives me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like it's good to look at competitors for inspiration and then take it to the next level in your own way.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then for my last question, it is, what happens to brands that fear competition?
Well, I think, there's something, I don't know if you've ever tried this. Don't go to the gym. What happens? You get fat. I'm sorry, bluntly speaking. What is the main killer of a business? Complacency. Even a successful business, if they don't stay competitive, they become complacent, it is the ultimate death of a brand. It is the ultimate death. And unfortunately for the person who wants to sit on their laurels, it's a demise. But the beauty is that life is so long, we have so much time, and there is no arrival in competition. We don't compete to arrive. We compete to stay winners at all times. So today's win is very different than tomorrow's win, which is very different than the day after, which means by default, you can't sit on your laurels. So the answer to your question is, it's imminent death.
Okay.
All right, I hope I answered all the questions.
Yes, that was all my questions today. Thank you so much for sharing all that.
Of course, my pleasure.
All right, thanks, Raffi.
All right.